Hi, I'm naturopathic Dr. Lauren DeVille, and I'm also the host of the podcast Christian Natural Health. And today I want to talk about first the basic principle of naturopathic medicine, and also how I'm going to break this down into obstacles to cure and basic building blocks that are necessary for your health. So naturopathic medicine is essentially the philosophy that if you give the body what it needs to heal itself and you identify and remove the obstacles to cure, then within reason healing will follow. And the idea is that essentially God made our bodies to be smart. They know what they're doing, and we just need to give them that little bit of extra help. And part of my job as a naturopathic physician is to help you identify what those obstacles are and help you to remove them. So the obstacle to cure that I want to talk about today are toxins in the food, and specifically macronutrients. So macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So they're essentially what you're going to actually be picking up at the grocery store, right? And what I see most often on diet diaries, things that people think they're eating healthy and they're actually not, are eating too many white carbohydrates, eating too few vegetables, and eating extra sugar, because that sneaks into absolutely everything almost if you're getting something that's prepackaged. So the white carbohydrates, first of all, those tend to show up in things like bread and pasta and crackers and cookies and muffins and things like that. So it's really easy to think that these are good for you because they are whole grain, or they're originally from whole grain. And this is not true unless they actually say 100% whole grain. If they don't say that, then they've been adulterated. They've been mixed with a processed flour or a processed carbohydrate, and it's not what it originally was when God originally made it, right? So the kinds of breads and carbs that you should be having are the ones that say 100% whole grain and don't have any added sugar mixed with them. And even then, I would still make carbohydrates a lower percent, or I should say, I would still make grains a lower percentage of what you're generally consuming. A good carbohydrate to consume are vegetables, and so many people are getting the majority of their carbohydrates from grains and way too few of them from vegetables. And I tend to see people who think they eat healthy have one vegetable with dinner, and that's about it. Or maybe occasionally they'll have a salad or something like that for lunch, or a leaf of lettuce or a couple slices of tomato on a sandwich. This does not cut it. You definitely need to make sure that you are having about half your plate vegetables for, I would say, at least 2 of the meals per day. So that's another big one. And then another one is having extra sugar that sneaks into all kinds of things. A lot of people will say, well, I don't add sugar to anything, so I'm not really eating sugar. This isn't true. Again, the white carbohydrates, as soon as they hit your saliva, are going to turn into sugar, so that's counting. But even aside from that, I'm talking about little bits of added sugar that are sneaking into your jam, or sneaking into your salad dressing, or sneaking into the mix that you're using for your dinner, or something like that, or the beverages that you're consuming on a regular basis. And so this is not just sodas. Everybody kind of thinks of those, although sodas are a massive amount of sugar, so you definitely want to minimize that if you possibly can. But if you're going to a coffee shop on a regular basis and you're having a latte that has extra, that's got a flavor shot in it, or a mocha or something like that, this is adding up quite a bit. And the blended beverages especially are really, really bad because they've got it pre-mixed into the solution. If you're even having a lot of juice, people tend to think juice is really good for you because it's fruit, right? And God made fruit. Well, the problem is that juice has been, the fruit has been extracted from the fiber, which is going to slow the release of that sugar into the bloodstream. So that's also going to spike your sugar intake. And then of course, like your occasional cookies, or the muffins and the breads that we just talked about, having pancakes with lots of syrup, things like that, this all adds up. The bars, a lot of times there's bars that are marketed as being super healthy or good for people that are too busy to eat a regular meal, and they've got lots of protein in them, and they tell you that they've got a whole bunch of nutrients, but in reality, in order to make them good enough to make you want to consume them on a regular basis, they've had to add a whole bunch of extra sugar to them. So be mindful of that. Make sure that you're focusing on eating whole foods, which means foods where there's only one ingredient. If there is a package, there's one ingredient on it. It's an apple. It's a fish. It is a piece of broccoli. Those are the whole foods. And grains generally are somewhat processed if you're getting them in a bag or something like that. But you can also buy whole grains in bulk and then just cook them stovetop, like brown rice, which I prefer over white rice because the white rice is also going to be those simple carbohydrates that are going to contribute to your overall sugar load. Again, those are going to hit the saliva and turn into sugar very quickly. So those are the main things that I see as far as faux pas on a diet diary, where people think they're eating really healthy and then in reality they're not.